Hi, Chef Robert at the Willow Room. We recently had a recipe contest, and I'm happy to introduce Stephanie to you. She's a winner of the dessert category. Her recipe was heavenly hash cake. I tried it out over Memorial Day, and it is quite excellent. So she's with us today, and she's going to take us through how you make heavenly hash cake. Okay, Steph.
Hi. Heavenly hash cake is one of our family all-time favorites, especially in the summer because it's nice and cool and sweet. To begin, you just need either 1 or 2 cakes, angel food cakes. And after you have your 2 angel food cakes, you can tear them up in pieces and place them in a bowl. But first you want to take 1 package of chocolate chips and melt them right over here.
What you'd want to do is put these in a bowl. So that's not opening too well for us. So, and it's 1 1/2, Steph?
Yeah.
So this is Hershey's chocolate.
Right, 1 1/2.
Put 1 1/2 in here. About 1 1/2.
And you just place it right over the double boiler and let them melt. And while that is melting, I usually start adding or chopping up pecans, or you can keep them whole, whichever you like. Okay, you want to separate 4 eggs. Now, next what you do, you want to take the yolked eggs and put them into the melted mixture. Thank you. I usually whisk them up in the lid first.
You want this off as the meat now?
Yeah, take it off. You don't want to cook the eggs, of course. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just going to add the yolks right in here and just pull them in.
Pull them right in. There you go.
You'll notice when you put these yolks in here, being that I've made this recipe, it'll stiffen this chocolate up just a little bit, but it's going to get loose once you put the egg white in and whipped cream.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, don't panic when it starts to stiffen up.
As you can see, the consistency's totally changed since we put the egg yolk in there.
Actually, I just whip them a little bit. You can beat them if you like to.
Okay.
It's up to you. I just whip them up.
Okay.
I'm all about simplicity.
Very good.
Alright, next is you want to put 1 cup of whipping cream in a bowl. So you want 1 pint of whipping cream in the mixture itself. And if you can't find any whipping or heavy whipping cream, you can always go and get the store-bought whipping cream too, but I always like the homemade stuff better. Next you want to fold in your whipped cream. Oops. Thank you. Move that over. I always do a little at a time, just gradually whip it in.
Because you've just put air into the whipped cream, and once the air is in there, you want to gently fold it. If you just take a whip to it, it would dissipate the air that you just spent time putting in the whipped cream.
Exactly. Okay, and after you get the whipped cream mixed into the mixture, whipped into the mixture, you want to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
That's a tablespoon. This is a 1/4 teaspoon, so just put 4 of those.
Okay.
We couldn't find our real teaspoon, so we're going to have to go with a little.
All right.
This is real vanilla. I don't know if you recall, we talked about imitation vanilla and how nasty that really is when you think about it. It's a byproduct of paper mills.
Oh.
So anytime you use vanilla, I'd suggest using real vanilla.
Absolutely, it does make a difference. And then 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Salt, pretty good stuff.
Okay. mix that in there. I still whip it because the cream's already in there. You don't want to break that down anymore. All right. Now if you want to add pecans or any other type of nuts, you can chop them up or you can keep them whole. It's good either way.
And that's 1.5 cups,
Thank
right?
you. Yes, it's 1.5 cups of pecans. We're using whole pecans here. Just fold them in gently. And then next, I would take an Angel Food pan. This is how we serve it. You take your 2 Angel Food cakes, and you just tear them up in pieces. Just place them on the bottom. And you're going to layer the mixture on top. Then I get my first layer down. I'm going to just pour some chocolate mixture over. May get a little messy, but that's okay. Put as much as you want. And this is the finished product. What you want to do is put it into the refrigerator, let it chill for a few hours. After you have it chilled overnight, this is your finished product.
And I must say, I prepared that, so I'm sure it's not as good as Stephanie's, but so how do you just serve it directly from there, Steph?
Yes, you can just
unmold it, or?
I just serve it directly from here. It does congeal a little bit, but over in the heat it could spread out a little bit. So I just serve it from the pan itself.
Okay.
Okay, to plate it, you can use a raspberry sauce. You can get this at any grocery store. And then a chocolate sauce on top of that. Add some contrast. Just scoop it on out. You can add more whipping cream to the top. If you have any nuts left over, you can sprinkle them on top. And there you go.
Very good. Thanks for coming in, Steph. It looks delicious. And until next time, eat well.
Thank you. Yep.
Hi, Chef Robert from the Willow Room. This is part 2 of our recipe contest winners. This is our entree division, which was won by Sherry Williams. Unfortunately, Sherry lives in Florida and couldn't be here with us today. So I'm going to do the best I can to reproduce her recipe. What she has here is called deep fried Thai inspired pork ribs. What we're going to do first is make the marinade. Calls for 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I have tamari here. It's a higher grade of soy sauce. You could of course just use regular soy sauce. This tamari has a little less salt content than your normal soy sauces. So there's our soy sauce. We need 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. Some of this you're not going to be able to find at a regular grocery store. If there's an Oriental market around your house, that's where to find this. There's one ingredient we'll get to here. It's called galangal root. Galangal powder, and you'd have to go to a Thai store to find that. But a good substitution for that is going to be ginger. It's real close to it's a root from the ginger family. So we're putting 2 tablespoons of our fish sauce, Tapas it's called. Now we have oyster sauce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. This you can probably find in a normal grocery store. Fish sauce will be the tough thing though. Now we need lime just some fresh limes. We need 2 teaspoons of lime juice. This is a 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm going to put 8 in there. It's basically a real simple recipe once you get the marinade done. Our next ingredient's water. We're going to need 3 tablespoons of water. Next is brown sugar. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of this. Five cloves of minced garlic, which I've already taken the liberty of mincing this. Coriander powder. Might have a hard time finding this too. It's I know I went to the grocery store and they didn't have coriander powder, so I got coriander seed and just put it in a food processor. And we need 1 teaspoon of this. What coriander is might not be familiar with it, but the more familiar thing is cilantro. And cilantro is also known as Chinese parsley. And coriander is the fruit, they call it. It's like the seed that develops on cilantro. So if you can't find either of those, you could just put some cilantro in there. It'll impart the same sort of flavor. Now the galanga powder, which I struck out finding, so we're going to substitute ginger. Like I said, galanga is a root very similar to ginger, and we need 1 teaspoon of this. But keep in mind, I couldn't find my teaspoon measure, so we're putting 4/4 in there. Okay. And 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper. 1 to 2. So, like I always tell you in these recipes, if you like hot stuff, put a little more in. If you don't, back off on it some. So we're just going to put 1 teaspoon in there. Okay? And that's basically our marinade. Just going to whip that up there. Smells really good. This recipe calls for 1 pound of pork ribs. What I have here, this is almost 4 pounds. Pork ribs are a lot cheaper than like baby back ribs or St. Louis ribs, just because, you know, they're from smaller animals, baby back and St. Louis style ribs. Pork ribs are going to be larger, less expensive. What you have down here, this is the rib bone. There's bones that run here. This is called the chine down here. The difference between like a St. Louis rack of ribs and a baby back. Baby back ribs have the chine bone cut off. St. Louis will have that piece of chine bone still attached. This is totally different, where it has, it's real meaty here, just because the nature of what this is. It's a full rack of pork ribs. There's this little bit of skin here, and what you want to do is just get a knife under there and lift that up. This is very slippery, so I'd suggest getting a towel, and you want to pull this off. Okay, come on, rib. Okay, there you go. And that's what it is. There's still a little attached here. So this recipe calls for 1 pound, and this is 4. I'm going to cut these in half right about here. We'll have a little more than we actually need here. being that Sherry's not here and she could tell me exactly how she'd like to do this, I'm going to take the rib, cut them straight down. There's a joint in here that if you hit, it should run our knife down the ribs, separating these ribs. Then we're going to cut these into 1-inch pieces. If you have a meat cleaver, it would work really well. I don't happen to have a meat cleaver here, so I'm using a heavy knife. We're just going to cut these into 1-inch pieces. There we have our ribs cut into 1-inch pieces. The next step, take the pieces of rib, put them in the marinade. We're going to toss this. And Sherry suggests to refrigerate this at least an hour before you deep fry them. She prefers to let this marinate overnight, which I would think would make it a much better dish, so the flavors can permeate through the meat. Okay, so we're gonna let this sit. I have some I prepared yesterday, and we'll deep fry those. Okay, these are the ones I've had marinating overnight. These are the ones we just did. So you can see the difference in color. These have taken on a lot of the marinade that was in this bowl. So our next step, I have the fryer on. I'm going to pop some in the fryer and deep fry. These are, Sherry says to deep fry these for 6 to 8 minutes. When you do this at home, of course I have a commercial fryer here, so just do them in small batches because you don't want to overcrowd that pot. What it'll do, it'll rapidly decrease the temperature of your oil and your product won't come out the way it should be. So just fry a few pieces at a time and remove them with a slotted spoon, maybe drain them on a cookie rack, something like that. Okay, here we have it, our finished product, the deep fried Thai-inspired pork ribs. They look delicious. Had them in the fryer for about 7 minutes. Sherry suggests that this can be served with sticky rice and cucumber salad and a sweet chili sauce. Sweet chili sauces are readily available at your grocery stores. I didn't have any here, so what I did was I did have some sambal olek, which is a chili paste. Took a little bit of this, added some honey, brown sugar, a little bit of water. I tasted it. It's sweet and oriental-like. So what I'm going to do is just drizzle some of this over top of these. And I also, this is cilantro. I chopped some of this up. I'm going to sprinkle some cilantro over this. Finish that off. And there you have it. I'd like to thank Sherry from Florida. Hope all is well. God bless you, Sherry, for submitting your recipe to us. Looks really good, and might even put it on my menu. Okay, until next time, eat well. Hi, Chef Robert from the Willow Room. This is part 3 of our recipe contest. Demi Walsh from the state of Indiana is the winner in this category, which is our appetizer category. She submitted a mushroom tapas that I thought would be really good, so that's what we're going to do. I have mushrooms that are already washed. What you want to do is pop the stems from these, and to pop a stem it's real easy. Just gently push the stem to one side and then back, and it comes right out. So the recipe calls for 8 ounces of mushrooms. We're going to double this recipe since there's people in the office here, and they thought it sounded pretty good too. So We're going to double the recipe. You can find the recipe on our website under Chef, so just keep that in mind. I am doubling this recipe so everybody can taste it. Okay, the recipe calls for 3 ounces of butter. I'm going to double it. We're going to put, it calls for 3 tablespoons, but we're going to use 6 here. And what we need to do is cream this butter. Creaming just means getting the mixer and getting it to a point where it's softened and it's easy to work with. This butter's been sitting out at room temperature, so that's what you want to do when you make this recipe. Let the butter sit out at room temperature. Okay, that looks pretty good. To this we're going to add garlic, which we need 2 teaspoons full. And parsley, 3 tablespoons. And lastly, 3 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese. We're just going to incorporate those ingredients into our cream butter. I've gotten a bigger bowl. We need to toss the mushrooms in our butter mixture and coat them well, so that's what we're going to do right now. Put our butter mixture on top. I see no other choice but to use my hands on this one, so I think that's probably the best way to accomplish what we need to do here. Alright, our mushrooms are tossed nicely in our cream butter, garlic, parsley mixture, and Parm cheese. Unfortunately, I don't have a casserole dish here. That's probably what I think Demi would recommend, is doing this in a casserole dish. I'm going to put these in a 2-inch half hotel pan. I'm going to pop it in the oven. My oven's preheated at 400 degrees. I'm going to put this in the oven and let it go for 15 minutes. And then we should have some delicious mushroom tapas. Alright, our mushrooms have been in the oven for 15 minutes. Got nice and brown. Smell great. So what I'm going to do is just plate a couple of them here. See, a little butter melted at the bottom of the pan there. Add a little parsley. And there it is. Thanks to Demi Walsh from state of Indiana. Thanks for the recipe, and eat well. Thank you.